Hello, everyone. This is Wrestling Watcher, a YouTube channel. It's about watching professional wrestling. So it finally happened. Randy Orton heard the voices. Randy Orton went heel on SmackDown, turning, in a sense, against Cody Rhodes at their WrestleMania contract signing. Now, what happened was they were having a promo, a segment, and they were talking about, they were doing what they've done over the past year or so, since they've been teasing this for a long time now, where they were talking about old memories and being brothers sort of thing, and how they've been allies and known each other for so long, right? And Randy Orton got up and he said, "I don't know how I'm supposed to do this." Because it was sort of like he didn't want to have to hurt Cody, sort of thing. But then Cody cuts him off and he says, I know you have to be the legend killer, the apex predator, the viper. You have to be the best you've ever been at WrestleMania. Right? He gave him that permission. Because Cody, the character Cody, thought, okay, we're going to be great friends, but, we'll have our match at Mania. Fine. But then Randy snaps on him, and he really snaps. Hits his head, throws his head into the table, throws him out. Hits him with a steel chair. They get some blood in there, and then they tilt the larger bottom half of the steel stairs up against the announce table. He puts his head in between it. Then he proceeds to get on the announce table and hit it with a chair. I don't think I've ever seen that spot before done. Then you had everyone come out, right? The refs, the agents, all that, to try and stop Randy, because Randy was going psycho, right? And the announcers were sort of horrified at it. Jelly Roll was even out there. And Randy Orton pushes Jelly Roll to further signify that he's a heel. Now, Randy is a 20-plus year veteran of the business, right? I mean, over 20 years in the industry, in the company. It's gonna be hard to make him a full heel. He's respected too much for that. I think people want him ultimately to win this match and to get number 15, because I think he's well respected by the fans. Obviously he is, right? But boy, they really turned this on with a heel turn from Randy. And, I don't mind the overall conclusion of the story. What I mean by that is Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. I don't mind that at all. That's a WrestleMania match. They've certainly put the heat on it with this heel turn, so I'm fine with that. How we got here, it could be argued that it was slightly botched. I understand what they were trying to do. Drew McIntyre beats Cody in Berlin in the 3 Stages of Hell match, right? On just sort of a random episode of SmackDown. Cody takes the title back, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, on another episode of SmackDown. It seems like they're trying to condition the fans. Triple H and the creative are trying to condition the fans with the idea that not every title reign is going to be super long, because, Roman had that long title reign. Cody had a long 1-year title reign. We kind of got conditioned to the idea that title reigns were going to be long. And they were only going to end, say, at a premium live event, or maybe even a WrestleMania, right? But the way they've done this conditions us to think, okay, maybe a world championship can change hands now at a random SmackDown, right? And so that's kind of a good thing. But the way they did it kind of leaves us with more questions than answers, right? And it's interesting because you got Drew McIntyre, who's now feuding heavily, I think, with Jacob Fatu. That's obviously the direction they're going, I think, for Mania. I kind of want to see him and Nick Aldis, to be honest, because I feel like that's where the heat's at. A lot of the heat is between Aldis and Drew. But, going back to Cody and Randy, I definitely think Randy wins. I think, it's difficult to tell, right? Because it's such a story-driven, much more story-driven, episodic sort of show now that's almost like a Peaky Blinders or Sopranos where, characters are much more not week-to-week filler sort of thing, but actual characters. So who knows, right? Maybe Cody learns from last year's WrestleMania with Cena and you get sort of this sort of double turn at Mania. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Randy turns face at Mania and Cody turns heel at Mania in a double turn scenario where Cody becomes a violent, psychotic, aggressive one. That would be a much more interesting sort of situation. You can just imagine the final boss, The Rock, being a part of that. But, this heel turn from Randy, he's fantastic when he's a heel. That is his natural character in professional wrestling, is that of a heel. His best work, arguably, was, I think, that 2009 run. And I think 2005 heel Orton, that long stretch that he had with Taker, was actually great work, too. Obviously, he's known for the 2009 run, mostly. Another interesting heel point for him was that 2013 through 14 run with the Authority. I don't think that's as critically acclaimed by the fans because heel Randy Orton is a psycho. But when he was with the Authority, he was more of a coward than a psycho. Don't get me wrong, he always has, when he's a heel, some cowardly tendencies, but it's usually, especially that 2009, had a much more just psychotic vibe to him where he'll just punt kick you to destroy you. But we'll see what happens. I'm hopeful. There's been a lot of complaints about Mania not selling out as fast, prices being too high. But night 1's going to have Cody versus Randy. I think night 2 has Roman versus Punk. I think that's obviously where it is headed right now. And we'll see where it goes from here. But great segment, great heel turn. Really hopeful. That's all for this one.